Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having an incredible day. I come bearing good news. Bakkt has finally been cleared to launch. The Intercontinental Exchange's young subsidiary announced on Friday that it had acquired a New York State Trust Charter through the New York State Department of Financial Services, or the NYDFS. The approval clears the way for the company to finally begin offering its highly anticipated physically settled Bitcoin futures contract. The company intends to launch its products on the 23rd of September. That is around 5 weeks away. Bakkt, first unveiled last August, has been working on regulatory approvals to begin offering the product over the past year. It intends to offer two types of contracts, a daily contract and a monthly contract. Both will be settled at the Bakkt warehouse, a part of the New York Chartered Trust Company. Working backwards, one of the main things that the CFTC and the NYDFS said that the people from the New York Stock Exchange who are running Bakkt had to get was a crypto custodian, pretty much meaning that originally the people from the New York Stock Exchange / Bakkt planned on launching their Bitcoin futures, where they announced it last August, and then they said, okay, we're going to launch in November. And the NYDFS and the CFTC said, nope, no, you're not, because you need a proper custodian. Pretty much, they said that the people from Bakkt couldn't handle the Bitcoin themselves, and therefore they had to partner up with another company who would hold the coins for them in between transit, who would do the validation of the transactions, not on the actual blockchain, but to say that this went to this person and this went to that, because the main thing is that governments fear is that this money is floating around and there's no real middleman to say, yes, it went from A and it hit B, and therefore there has to be a person standing in the middle. So it appears that there's now going to be a Bakkt warehouse who's probably going to be, well, obviously going to be the custodian, and also going to be the, I guess, the clearinghouse for the transactions that are actually flowing through Bakkt. In a blog post on Friday, Bakkt CEO Kelly Loeffler wrote, "Our contracts have already received the green light from the CFTC through the self-certification process, and user acceptance testing has begun. With approval by the New York State Department of Financial Services to create Bakkt Trust Company, a qualified custodian, there we go, the Bakkt warehouse will custody Bitcoin for physically delivered futures." Isn't that insane? First of all, the entire thing that many other cryptocurrency companies who are trying to deliver physically anything that involved Bitcoin was that they had to get a custodian. The people from Bakkt and the New York Stock Exchange, I assume, or rather what it looks like, are so powerful that they simply just created another company that they themselves also own, known as the Bakkt warehouse, to be able to custody it, air quotes, not themselves. But it's clear that Bakkt warehouse is definitely created by them and through them as well, to be able to do exactly what they needed to do before. Weird, right? This offers customers unprecedented regulatory clarity and security alongside a regulated, globally accessible exchange in a market unserved by institutional grade infrastructure. She said, uniquely Bakkt Bitcoin futures contracts will not rely upon unregulated spot markets for settlement prices, thus serving as a transparent price discovery mechanism for the benchmark price for Bitcoin. The importance of this differentiator is only amplified by reports of significant manipulative spot market activity and other concerns such as inconsistent anti-money laundering policies and weak compliance controls. So, first of all, end quote. I think this is it. I think this is the beginning of what I have been waiting for a very long time. Not only just the launch of Bakkt, I mentioned many other times, and I think more so in 2018, I think we are at the end of an era. And I think this is the official start of big money and world money getting into the cryptocurrency space. When we were talking about before the entire rhetoric or idea in 2018 that institutional money would be coming into the space, I think this is it. We already know that institutional money is here, but this is where the masses get into cryptocurrency and start learning about it. We have had nothing else thus far that was this significant. When you think about how long this has taken, that they've been working on this for at least 4 years. This is going to be massive. You have to get or see the bigger picture in front of you. And I'm sorry for repeating this, but this is so blatantly obvious that these people know exactly how big Bitcoin is going to be. These people probably, and I say probably low figures, at least each own at least 5,000 to around 20,000 Bitcoin, at least. Bitcoin is going to be one of the largest financial products in our entire human history. When this thing ends up hitting $250,000, these are going to be the future titans of industry. Ask yourself why the people from the New York Stock Exchange would be getting into this, why they've diligently and they've made sure. And wait till you just hear the other stuff that we actually have lined up as well in this video. It's going to become abundantly clear that this is the new asset class. This also lines up exactly with, remember, this was a week ago. The people from LedgerX had also gotten approval or had been given the green light to launch their physically settled Bitcoin futures. And the day that they were launching them, the CFTC came forward and said, no, you don't have the green light. The entire idea was that the people from LedgerX had to wait exactly 180 days to hear from the CFTC, and within that 180 days, if they had not heard from the CFTC, then therefore they had by default automatically received approval to launch their futures contracts. They announced, we're launching them. The CFTC, no, you don't have the approval for it. And this is why I read through the internet that the people from LedgerX are trying to take legal action against the CFTC because it's clear that they, as a major billion-dollar company, probably weren't dumb enough to try and launch Bitcoin futures contracts physically settled without the approval of the CFTC. And I said, wouldn't it be really, really weird if the people from LedgerX had by default received approval? The CFTC was like, no, hold on, no, you didn't. And I said, wouldn't it be really weird if by about a good week and a half, if the people from the New York Stock Exchange came forward and said that they had received approval? It's here. Isn't that really weird? And I said from the beginning, when the people from Bakkt apparently had put in their paperwork to deal with the CFTC to say, hey, we want to be the first physically settled Bitcoin futures contracts, the people from LedgerX made the news because they had done it 3 days before the people from the New York Stock Exchange. And isn't it really weird that the people from LedgerX didn't get approval? And even more so, that was a couple of days ago. Where was it? She said our contracts have already received the green light from the CFTC, which leads me to believe that they probably received the go-ahead or the thumbs up 3 days after the people from LedgerX, and they've just waited until Friday, yesterday, to be able to tell everyone. Isn't that completely insane? This is what I believe, and I'm pretty sure just based on proper price metrics and what we've seen a lot of other analysts talking about over the last couple of weeks, I think this is going to be the main driving factor to getting Bitcoin over the $50,000 mark. I'm not sure if it's going to happen this year. I would assume, based off of the current events that have been happening the last 3 weeks, just those in the financial world, the fact that Bakkt is 5 weeks away from launching, the fact that September is usually a time when markets have a bit more activity as people have come back from their summer holidays. Also, because we aren't then that far away from the actual Brexit event happening, should everything line up, should the stars line up, I would not be shocked with Bitcoin at $10,000 right now if Bitcoin just does a 5x and hits $50,000. I wish I could tell, I wish I could open my brain and let all of you see what's inside of it. Like the euphoria that actually burst from my brain. And I know that sounds completely insane, but I'm pretty sure other people definitely have that same exact emotion when we hear about news like this. It is fairly obvious. I am certain, in my view, that Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000 within the next year. That is to say, exactly 365 days from now, we should have a $100,000 Bitcoin, because once Bakkt launches, this it's not small money getting into the market. They are doing this purely for the institutional money. We have yet to have a proper beacon for people to throw their money at. When a name as big as the New York Stock Exchange lets people around the world, lets rich people around the world know, you can use us, you can put your money with us, you can deal with us, you've dealt with us before. Imagine what's happening behind the scenes for other major investors who are thinking about potentially putting 1 to 2 to 3% of their money just into Bakkt, just into buying Bitcoin for the future, just into so and so and so. And imagine the people who are throwing it's how much money is in this space is impressive. That's the only word I can even think of coming up with at this moment. We'll see. Let's give it a good week and a half before Bakkt. If they're planning on launching the 23rd of September, let's say by the 14th, 15th, somewhere around that time frame, Bitcoin's price should be ticking higher. Just even based on the news that we had before in 2017 that there was going to be a Bitcoin futures that wasn't physically settled, Bitcoin's price exploded. And that was with they're not smaller. I believe it was with the CBOE. They're not that tiny. This is the New York Stock Exchange. And they're launching physically settled Bitcoin futures, which means that, my gosh, the amount of money that's going to be passing through this. I'm going on, like, I wish you could see the chemical activities happening in my brain, because this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the huge moment. These people, when these people start making billions of dollars and they go onto the news to tell other people, you think the run-up of 2017 was something? We've never experienced anything like this before in our lifetimes. The amount of institutional money that has been buying up Bitcoin since 2018 as prices were going down. The people from the New York Stock Exchange even told us a couple of months ago that they loved that the prices were going down during 2018 because they were buying up as much as they possibly could. I'm interested in seeing exactly how little Bitcoin is actually out there. We had estimates a couple of months ago. We were going through all the numbers together. It is widely believed that there are less than 1 million Bitcoin currently circulating through cryptocurrency exchanges. That's nothing. There are a good at least 2 billion people on this planet who know what Bitcoin is. These people are going to start buying fractions of Bitcoin as the prices go higher. People continuously, just imagine the people who are already in the cryptocurrency space, who are constantly buying up fragments of Bitcoin all the time. Imagine what's going to happen if Bitcoin starts inching itself back up to $20,000 and hits $25,000, and the news report start talking about we have the so-and-so blah blah blahs who are once again crypto billionaires. That was a huge thing in 2017. How many people made it into the news because they had become crypto billionaires? It was no longer a story of these people who had become incredibly rich or had become crypto millionaires. That was a very big thing. To become a Bitcoin millionaire was a huge news story. How did you become a millionaire? A couple years ago, I bought around $500 worth of Bitcoin, and now I'm a millionaire. I remember there was this TV show that I was watching. It was about I think not rich and famous people. It was people who had acquired their wealth through unconventional means. It was very, how did you become rich? I did it by this. There was one guy, he was in London. I believe he was from somewhere in Asia. Can't remember the exact country. He was in London tasting caviar with his mother, and I remember they were eating it off of I think it was like one of the bone spoons or something like that. And the camera person was asking him, so how'd you make your wealth? He said, well, I made about $47 million from Bitcoin. And it was just this really fascinating moment, because that was the kind of thing. When we have people who become billionaires from cryptocurrencies and even more so just Bitcoin, the floodgates are going to open unlike anything that we've ever seen. The amount of money that we have sitting already in the cryptocurrency space, pay attention. Even the other, what was the other thing? All those companies who've been acquiring 1 to 2 to 4 to 7% of all the Bitcoin in the world. How much Bitcoin do you actually think is out there circulating? I don't think it's a lot. It's not. Anyway, here's the actual article on Medium from the people from the New York Stock Exchange announcing that they have officially been given the green light for this launch. I'm excited. If you couldn't tell, I think great things are going to come. And I would not be surprised 1% if the prices of cryptocurrencies started falling. The last couple of weeks have let me know that people are actively trying to manipulate the prices to make them seem like they're going lower, or to try and push them down as much as possible just to acquire more on another cryptocurrency exchange. When one Bitcoin is worth $250,000 US, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Without further ado, let's move on. Next up, Ethereum is in the news. Ethereum core developers finalized late Thursday a list of 6 different code changes to be activated for Ethereum's next upgrade, known as Istanbul. As agreed in prior meetings, Istanbul will be executed in 2 parts. The first will feature all 6 code changes of Ethereum's EIPs, or Ethereum Improvement Proposals. Is tentatively expected to execute on the Ethereum mainnet this October. The second, which is scheduled for mainnet activation sometime in the first quarter of next year, will feature EIPs further requiring testing and deliberation from core developers. Those include a proposed mining algorithm change called ProgPow. Speaking of the 2-part structure of the Istanbul upgrade, core developer Peter, I'm not going to say his last name, said on Thursday's call, "We split Istanbul into 2. One of them we can actually ship within weeks. The other contains 2 really big EIPs that would be nice to have, but require some stuff that cannot be done within the 2 or 3 week time span," end quote. Istanbul Part 1 will be the 8th hard fork to be activated on the $22 billion blockchain network. It is expected to boost chain interoperability with privacy coin Zcash and help secure the broader network and against relay attacks, among other efficiency improvements. Excited. I've been waiting for a very long time for a lot of these upgrades. The fact that the first one is happening in October, which may seem far away, we are a couple of weeks away from September. By the time Istanbul has been Part 2, I believe, what was the date that we had? There's a major Ethereum upgrade that I believe is coming on the 3rd of January, if I am not mistaken. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this will be the first iteration of the integration for proof of stake with proof of work hybrid that Ethereum is trying to do. I don't think, how do I say this? I think the timing fits perfectly for everything that's happening. Ethereum developers and coders and people within the network know that they need to kind of get it together. I appreciate the fact that they are constantly now giving us updates on exactly what's happening with Ethereum. I am very excited to see this work. It's been about a good 2 years and some change since we were supposed to have potentially already had the beginnings of Casper, Plasma, Istanbul, Constantinople, you name it, over and over and over. What I'm most excited about is that Ethereum thus far has gone under the radar in many aspects as far as what they're actually proposing to be put on top of the chain. And if you also mentioned in the same exact breath, if you remember, Litecoin is also supposed to be doing something, and I just remembered it right now as well. A lot of the proposals for Ethereum are to help the network have, in the easiest, simplest terms, private transactions. The idea is within the next year or 2 or couple of years, hopefully they've been working on this as well, is that for a certain way, it could be through not sharding, which we won't have yet, which is imagine having a glass Fabergé egg. That doesn't make any sense. Like a glass something, and you crack it, send it to your friend, and by the time it gets back to your friend, it's completely whole once again. They want to do this with the transactions that are happening on the network. They want to make sure that transactions on top of Ethereum that are happening on the network can be completely private if you choose to do so, have so, want to make so. I'm very excited for all of these things. Private transactions on top of Ethereum, because what it is that the cryptocurrencies that have already received a non-security clearance, and these coins are simply just coins that have no jurisdiction or rule over them, that have already been deemed decentralized enough Bitcoin and Ether both at some point plan on having multiple different levels of privacy around the entire blockchain, multiple layers, multiple chains, so that pretty much nobody knows what's happening on these networks. Imagine when these networks become the largest networks in the entire world and everything is passing through them. All the information, all the laws, all the so and so and so. And you can decide to use Ethereum or Ether and Bitcoin at will, and no one knows exactly what's happening. And also the future of proof of stake on Ethereum is oh my gosh, yes, oh my gosh, forgot about that as well. Did I have coffee? I'm very hyped. I had some tea. Hold on, I think it's just mango tea. What did I drink? Why am I so hyped? I completely forgot as well that the people from Ethereum announced a couple of weeks ago that the actual mining reward for creating Ether is going to drop to almost nothing within the next couple of years. I think within the next 2 years, they said. I think the current last year or the year before, the issuance rate was, I think, 5 Ether per block. I think it's currently 1 Ether per block, which is insane that the price hasn't exploded. I think they said within the next 2 years, the issuance of Ether is going to be 0.2 Ether per block. That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing. So the entire idea is that as Ethereum has the hybrid of proof of work to proof of stake, and eventually we move almost exclusively towards proof of stake, where pretty much the more coins that you own means the more coins that you can actually create on the network. When the issuance rate is super low and everyone's buying as many or acquiring as much Ether as possible to be able to create more Ether on the network, this is why we have those price predictions from all the analysts talking about that Ethereum is probably going to hit anywhere between 4,000 to 7,000 over the next year or so. That's insane. I have so much hope for Ethereum, if you couldn't tell. I want this to succeed so bad, and I hope that this all goes off without a hitch. 2018 was a bit of not demoralizing. Yeah, demoralizing. Yeah. The morale was low for Ethereum because they kept on saying that they were going to implement these things and it did not happen. The fact that we have October for the first half of it and the second part of Istanbul happening in the first part of January, or rather the first part of quarter one, and I assume they mean the 3rd of January for the implementation of the rest of the upgrades. I'm very excited because I want Ethereum to make it. I like what Ethereum's doing, and I like thus far have high hopes for them because it appears that they're going to do relatively well, especially with the entire Ethereum Alliance growing at a rapid rate. Here's the actual GitHub for the EIPs. And yeah, without further ado, let us move on. Next up, this looks like it might not tie into everything, but it does. Kenneth A. Blanco, the director of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, has urged casinos to follow the agency's guidelines in regards to suspicious convertible virtual currency activity. During the speech at the 12th annual Las Vegas Anti-Money Laundering Conference on the 13th of August, Blanco addressed casinos' compliance with FinCEN's guidance released in May. In their guidance, the FinCEN considered certain business models involving CVC financial institutions to help them comply with their existing obligations under the Bank Secrecy Act. The guidance, however, did not establish any new regulatory expectations and/or requirements. Blanco specified 2 areas where the CVC interacts with casinos and card clubs, which are online CVC casinos, as well as physical casinos and card clubs that convert CVC for gaming. Blanco noted that casinos dealing with cryptocurrency should consider how they will conduct due diligence on CVC transactions and blockchain analytics and how they will incorporate, same thing, not really, CVC-related indicators into their SAR filings. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about, one of the major things that's actually happening within the cryptocurrency space, or rather, what governments tend to say that they really care about, is money laundering, i.e., there's money floating around the world and we have no idea where it's going, and we have the right to know exactly where it's going, and therefore you should be able to tell us exactly when you receive money or you send out money. This is why the custody solution that Bakkt has had is very not great, but it's significant in its own way, because governments are realizing that this is not going to end anytime soon. This is going to be very big. It's probably the future of finance, and therefore they need to figure out a way to have a middleman. What's been happening over the last couple of years, not even with an S, is that cryptocurrency gambling platforms have become enormous. They are very, very popular. One of the largest platforms for actual gambling, casino, blah, blah, blah things is Tron. I think Tron actually holds the top spot for gambling. I think EOS holds it for, I can't remember exactly what EOS holds it for. Ethereum's not really that high in the rankings because of this slow network. But Tron is very major on this. There's even a website over here. Everything that is pink right here is gambling. There's a lot of gambling websites, and what people have been realizing is that, oh, actually a lot of them are from EOS. Look at that. Wouldn't you know? Anyway, the point is, this worries governments because not only is there a fear that cryptocurrency platforms, websites, whatever, coins can be used without their knowledge, it's now more so that as crypto becomes larger, casinos are also trying to figure out a way to integrate them as well. A lot of online gambling casinos are very, very popular. There was a huge amount of news about them last year as well. We don't really get that much news about them anymore. I think they've kind of tried to make sure that they stay under the radar. The point is, this ties directly in with everything. You maybe thought it was weird that we started getting cryptocurrency regulation and information as to what was good, what was bad, what can't be done. The UK regulators giving like proper cryptocurrency financial regulation. Other countries are also doing this. This is kind of the last step. I was going to say the last nail in the coffin. I guess depending on how pessimistic you can kind of look at it this way. They're trying to make sure how to figure out everything and everything on the side, because what's going to end up happening is it is widely believed that in the future that many different platforms, pretty much everything, a lot of people believe that everything in the future will be tokenized, will be digitized in some sort of way. I don't go to casinos, but I imagine that casinos are probably not dealing with a lot of physical money anymore. They're probably a lot of digital things. You play the slots and all the other stuff. I think with like a card now or something like that as well. So there's not much physical money being passed around. And when cryptocurrencies become larger and casinos realize that, hey, we should make our own cryptocurrencies, or we should start offering cryptocurrency payouts, that's when things are going to get kind of weird. So this is just another iteration of all the stuff that we've been getting over the last couple of weeks, as far as all the regulation and stuff like that. Like I said, we can't stop it. It's going to happen. It's more so that cryptocurrencies are and blockchains are digital, and they can always be upgraded to kind of go around these regulations. I'm very interested in seeing what the world is going to look like in the next 5 years. I'm fairly certain myself, I don't expect Bitcoin to hit 10 million in the next 5 years, or even maybe 8 million. But I think when we hit the golden $100,000 Bitcoin and the world completely goes insane for it and everything kind of grows a lot larger very quickly, how governments are going to deal with this. They're already having a hard time dealing with it, and this is why they've made sure to get their clutches. They're squeezing the life out of cryptocurrency exchanges, trying to get everything to flow through them. And also now they appear to be doing the gambling so-and-so thing as well. I wonder what happens when they can't control it, when it becomes too big for them, when people just simply stop caring. And a little bit of a side note, for those of you who care, there was a podcast I was listening to. I can't remember the name of it. And if I could open my phone and find it quick enough, I would. There's a podcast that Andreas Antonopoulos is on. It's not What Bitcoin Did. Oh gosh, Google it. Google podcast Andreas Antonopoulos. He's on one about every week. It's very fascinating. He was talking about, he said, when all of this really hits the fan, he said a lot of it is relatively unknown to people around the world. There may be tons of people around the world who are buying up cryptocurrencies, who are into Bakkt, who are into so-and-so, who has a friend who has so-and-so. Maybe they've even bought, $1 million worth of cryptocurrency, he said. But when this becomes so big that they can't control it, he wonders himself like exactly how they're going to deal with it. He said, what's happening right now in India, for those who aren't really paying attention, the lawmakers, government in India had said that they planned on giving cryptocurrency regulations in 2017. And then it was the beginning of 2018, middle of 2018, end of 2018. And then they said the beginning of 2019, middle of 2019, where we are, we still don't have it. And now they're talking about not giving proper clarity until the end of this year or the beginning of 2020. He said one of the main proposals that's happening right now for cryptocurrency within India is a complete ban and also jail time for anyone holding, transmitting in, giving to, or dealing with cryptocurrency in any manner. So that means if you're holding cryptocurrencies, you are guilty. If you give that cryptocurrency to someone else, you're both guilty as you're trying to get rid of your crypto. If you have cryptocurrencies and you're trying to sell it, you in the exchange are also guilty. It's every single facet. And he said that the proposals for jail time for holding cryptocurrencies within India are worse than if you had physically violated someone. I'm pretty sure you kind of get what I'm hinting at. And also, I think also if you had murdered someone, that it would be worse if you held a piece of digital code on your computer than if you had done something terrible to another human being. And he said, what's going to end up happening is that people will realize that they can still transact in Bitcoin, that they can still do all these other things in Bitcoin. When you have people who you've held down for a very long time in your own monetary fashion, telling them that they can't have this, you can't do this because you're not rich, you can't so and so and so, you can't feed your family, you can't get into this institution, we aren't opening up any banks in your area, in your so and so and so, because you're poor, we don't want to do business with you, or because now you have found a way to feed your families, and we're going to ban it. We're banning cryptocurrencies, he said. If it coincides around the same exact time where Bitcoin is skyrocketing in price, he doesn't like to talk a lot about the Bitcoin price, but I know that this is what it means. He said people in India will flock to Bitcoin immediately. When you tell people they can't do something, they become interested in why they can't do it, and they start to do it themselves. And when they realize that it's not evil, when it's not bad, or that it actually gives them a way to be able to do stuff, he said, this is why we keep talking, and it sounds odd. And I know it does, because when I think about it in my head, it also sounds weird, but even when I say it out loud, it's more like I cringe a little bit. This is why we talk about the toppling of governments and how they won't be able to deal with this new world, this new advent of cryptocurrencies. For those of you who are still here, thank you for listening to my rambling. For those of you who are not, you're already gone. See you later. I was chatting with friends yesterday about the actual creation of Libra. I think a lot of them didn't know that Libra was a thing, and I had to explain to them in the nicest terms as we had dinner this very dystopian world that we're going to have once Facebook actually ends up having their own cryptocurrency. And I was explaining how this is going to shape finance, how this is going to shape the world, how Facebook is trying to become the largest bank in the entire world overnight, and exactly what that's going to end up doing to finance. When we have a world where cryptocurrencies are flourishing and Facebook has their own cryptocurrency that's bigger than the United States government, or when they have, most banks have typically around maybe 5 million, 30 million, maybe even a good 50, 60, 70 million people under their wings who are using their services. When Facebook has 2.4 billion people automatically at the flick of a switch, at the click of a button, this is why we've seen so many politicians who are incredibly afraid of Facebook's Libra. Because if it's a threat to the US dollar, one can only assume that it's also a threat then to the pound. If it's a threat to the pound, it's a threat to the yen. If it's a threat to the yen, it's a threat to the dong. If it's a threat to the dong, it's a threat to the shilling, to the rupee, to many other actual fiat currencies that we have out there. What happens, and this is going to happen as well, this is the really scary part. I'm pretty sure Andreas Antonopoulos also spoke about this as well. It's a 40-minute discussion. Yeah. Off the top of my head, Google it. Open up a new tab, Google it. It's called Libra, not Libra. So I think it's Libra and then NOT and then LIBRE, the word Libra meaning free. So it's Libra, not free. The point is, he said, we're going to get to a point where when Facebook has become even larger and people are more incentivized to use their coin and to use so-and-so, and you get discounts for using it, or people from Facebook apparently are going to start to be paid in Libra. When we enter that world, he said, when the US dollar becomes shaky because of how strong Libra is, other countries are going to be completely decimated almost overnight. They simply can't keep up. If they're trying to keep up now and they have 3,000% hyperinflation per year, or even just a good 50% hyperinflation, that's terrible for their economy. What happens when they need to go borrow money because they're completely in debt like every other country is around the world? There's trillions of dollars worth of debt circling around our heads. He said, what happens when they can't go to the U.S. because the U.S. is also in dire straits? So they go, Facebook, can we borrow about a good $40 billion? Is that okay? They go, yeah, sure, yeah. Come this way, and then you're now in debt to Facebook. We are entering a very interesting time in human history. Facebook is going to become the largest bank in the world unless something catastrophic happens over the next couple of months, which I really don't foresee at this point. Libra is going to launch, Bakkt is going to launch, and we're going to have central bank digital currencies that are also going to coincide at the exact same time. This is why we also just got news that the China coin, it has no name at the moment, is also probably is finished and is probably going to try and launch by the end of this year. What a fascinating world we're going to live in, where we are stuck between free currencies, government currencies, and corporation currencies, and we're told that government-based currencies are safe, they're awesome, they're amazing, we should be using them. And people around the world are being corralled into using Facebook's Libra. How do governments deal with this? How do governments deal with the competition? If governments around the world are banning Bitcoin, when Bitcoin is at $10,000, what are they going to do overnight when Facebook becomes the largest bank, and when Bitcoin hits 25,000? And when Bitcoin hits 50,000, and when Bitcoin hits 100,000 US dollars. Remember last year, for those of you who were not here, there was a news article. It was by a Swiss company. They were doing the math, and they said by the time Bitcoin goes over the six-figure amount, it will make the US dollar shaky. They said by the time Bitcoin hits $250,000, whenever that might be, it'll be strong enough to knock the US dollar away. Just Bitcoin alone. We are at the very beginning of what I have waited for and what I also feared for a very long time. And I hope that people who are in the cryptocurrency space are really paying attention to what's going on. I cannot and will never tell you what to do with your money, but please, if you have any extra money that you would be spending on something that you do not need, maybe think about putting it into the cryptocurrency space. We are going to enter a world where you either have or you have nothing, and that is not a joke. We are very close to it. I have a lot of other friends in finance who see exactly what I'm talking about. There is a massive thing going on. I'm pretty sure you've noticed. I hope that you haven't been affected by this, where people are losing their jobs, where institutions and corporations are cutting 1/5 of their workforce. Well, next year, especially next year, you can Google this as well. Have as many tabs open as possible. I sent this to a couple of friends. It's Tesla, it's Uber, it's Lyft. It's another company who's trying to go against them as well. It's Domino's. It's another UPS. Google UPS self-driving trucks. I think FedEx is also making their self-driving trucks. We're going to live in a world where we will not need taxis, where we will not need Uber drivers or Lyft drivers, because it's all going to be self-driving. Truck driving is also going away because this can also be completely automated. Call centers, automated. Computers, AI, all these things are going to take away hundreds of millions of jobs around the world. People creating and building cars, it can all be done by robots. Building computers can also be done by robots. Everything, just about everything on this planet can be done by robots. There are also restaurants. I'm pretty sure you've seen them as well. You can definitely Google them, where they're just controlled and done by robots. The food may not be as spectacular, but that'll also be combed out in the next 5 years, where robots will simply cook your food. And also to cone like a little conveyor belt, and you kind of pick it up. There are pizza places around the world. I'm pretty sure Domino's is one of them, where they're thinking about also completely automating it. Everything can be automated. What happens to our planet, to the world, where millions, potentially a billion, if you want to really get to that number, of jobs completely disappear? Everything is automated. People are letting other people off. We simply don't need you. Sorry, yeah, we're doing cutbacks. We're doing so and so and so. and we enter a world where we have a recession. It's looking more likely that within the next 6-7 months, we could have a worldwide recession that's even worse than what we had in 2008 and 2009. Remember how bad it was? The world was very close to collapse. The world was actually on the brink of actual economic collapse. And the only thing that saved it was inflation, was governments creating and printing more money and throwing them at banks. Nothing really changed except that the banks got richer. They became more greedy. And now the cracks are showing all over the place. If you Google as well, Google just German economy and do it like for the last week time frame. There's a Deutsche Bank is crumbling. The German economy, and I think the German, not the bond market. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's been in negative territory and has been going down for the last 10 years. Everything that we've seen, even with the stock market going up, people think that also all the FANG stocks, so that's Facebook, Amazon, Google, blah, 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 that they're also heavily overvalued. That all of these stocks have been, had money pumped into them over the last 3 years, even when analysts were like, no, they're not worth that much. When Facebook launches their coin, when Bitcoin passes by $50,000 and it has a $1 trillion market cap, when central bank digital currencies hit us in the face next year and we're told that we have to use these and our transactions have to be known by the government and this has to happen, and hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of jobs are lost and homelessness accelerates. If you live in a big city, I'm pretty sure you've also seen the number of homeless people also exponentially rising. It's happening in New York, it's happening in Paris, it's happening in London, it's happening in Miami. It's happening in Hawaii as well. For those of you who don't know that, Google homelessness in Hawaii. It's happening all over the world. And this is with the economy doing well. We are going to enter a period, and I am not certain if Bitcoin is going to be the only coin that's going to make it. I like to imagine a future where it's at least 10 of the coins that we know right now. I think Bitcoin will make it. I think Ether is going to make it. I think XRP has a spot in the future. You might not like banks, but banking will become digital completely. So it's going to have a spot. I think Litecoin will also make it. So I think we'll have a good basket of coins. But the point is, people who don't have these coins, keep in mind that all this stuff is finite. While we get news that there are people holding, 100,000 Bitcoin, 100 so and so and so, Litecoin only has 4 times the amount of coins that Bitcoin does. If you hold 4 Litecoin, you are holding a huge amount. It's the equivalent of you holding an entire Bitcoin. These coins are being bought up in rapid succession by millionaires and billionaires around the world. There are not enough single Bitcoin in the world for every millionaire. I think there's 24, 26. Someone gave me the exact number in the comment section before. Millionaires in the world. If there's only 1 million Bitcoin floating around, what happens when they all try to get some? What happens when the people from Bakkt have been buying up hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin over the last 4 years? We had information that the people from the New York Stock Exchange got into Bitcoin around 4 to 5 years ago. They said they've been thinking about launching something like this for years. That means they were buying Bitcoin when it was around $200, $300, $1,000, and then it fell back down. Think of how much Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies the rich people already hold. If this is the new financial world that's budding and blossoming right before us, think about how much the people who have are going to have, and think about the billions with a B of people who have no cryptocurrencies at all. Think of the future. When I think about what the world is going to look like in 10 years, it's terrifyingly beautiful. For the people who will only be able to have or acquire, maybe even have the money as Bitcoin's price rises to acquire 10,000 Satoshis, cool. For the people who have been acquiring 1 million Satoshis every week, the last couple of months, years, think of the wealth disparity that we're going to see. It's going to be unlike anything that we've ever seen in our entire lives. Didn't mean to spend too much time on that one topic, but you see it, and I know you see it, and I know you understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's far too much money in this space for it not to succeed. There's a reason why every world government is trying to make sure that they have control over it and that it's not going, I guess, willy-nilly would be the only phrase that I can really think of, that it's not kind of out of their control. They're making sure that everything is in place so that when the prices explode, when prices go up, when we have news about all those crypto billionaires and potential future crypto trillionaires out there, that they get a slice of the pie as well. And this is why I think everything has been funneled or is trying to be funneled through cryptocurrency exchanges. And I said this before as well. I don't know if it was this year or last year. I said I thought it was very odd that crypto exchanges, they only get like a slight slap on the wrist. And it's more like, if you play ball with us, you can play ball for however long you want. Do what we say and you'll be totally fine. And I think that the new banks will be cryptocurrency exchanges. I think that these will be the new custodians. These will be the new so-and-so. I think that a lot of the old financial world, a lot of the old world that we saw before, that we know, is going to disappear. And I think it's going to happen very quick. I think a lot of people aren't going to be prepared for it. Imagine if you don't write how much you hold, how much you have in the comment section. Please don't let other people ever know how much you have. Think about how much you have. And think about your friends and family who have nothing, called you crazy, or don't plan on buying into any of it. Imagine a future where you've made millions of dollars from cryptocurrency. Just imagine, hypothetically, super hypothetically, and your friends and families have nothing. Or if they do have something, like I said, they maybe were able to acquire 50,000 Satoshis, so and so and so, but you've made millions. Think about the difference that's going to, it's staggering in my mind how crazy this all is. I've spent too much time talking on this. I'm going to move on. But it's something that I think about a lot. Really, really a lot. We're going to, and I know it's going, and it saddens me in a way, because we're going to get news about how the richer have only gotten wealthier, and how there are people around the world who have no Bitcoin, can't afford it, it's just, it's insane. Anyway, let's move on. To finish things off, Coinbase Custody has acquired Xapo's institutional businesses, making Coinbase the largest crypto custodian in the entire world. Coinbase initially rolled out its digital asset custody arm last year, and its recent acquisition follows a significant period of growth, according to the exchange. They said, and I do quote, "This acquisition caps off a tremendous period of growth and innovation for Coinbase Custody. In just over 1 year since launch, Coinbase Custody has grown to over $7 billion in assets under custody, stored on behalf of more than 120 clients in 14 different countries, making it the largest, most globally recognized, and most trusted institutional custodian in the entire world. Xapo has a team of over 250 members who work across more than 50 countries. The company provides Bitcoin wallet services in addition to cold storage vaults and BTC-based debit cards. The company made headlines last year for publicizing one of its extreme cold storage vaults. Oh, whoa. Okay, that was them. Last year, we had news that there was a company that, and Coinbase acquired them. Last year we had news about a company who was actually putting cryptocurrencies inside of cold storage vaults inside of mountains in Switzerland. Decommissioned military bunkers, and Coinbase just acquired them. Retrieving Bitcoin from the vaults takes about 2 days, and security measures include fingerprint scanners that are equipped with a pulse reader that prevents amputated hands from, oh my lord. Retrieving Bitcoin from the vault takes about 2 days, and security measures include fingerprint scanners that are equipped with a pulse reader that prevents amputated hands from being used. The company was founded by Argentinian entrepreneur Wences Cesares in 2013. That is the scariest thing I think I've ever read on this channel. I have never that just shows I'm not rich enough to even think about stuff like that. That is the scariest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And okay, we've all seen those movies. Well, like you need like a fingerprint reader and someone like chops off the hand of like the bad guy and they use their finger to open up a door. Wow, did not even think of something like that. So the point is, this has been also making headlines. when I and just a side note, I've stepped sideways for half a second. Remember when I kept on saying that Gemini was boring and they were probably the most boring crypto exchange out there? Look at what Coinbase has done. I don't like Coinbase, but I even give them a little pat on the back for that, because this is major. On top of that as well, coinciding exactly with this news, where is it? In a new tweet, touting the company's acquisition of Xapo, Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, says that institutional customers are sending $200 to $400 million in cryptocurrency to Coinbase custody every single week. Do you understand how much money is in cryptocurrency? How rich these people are going to be? How, and you know, I'll even throw a little bone out there. The people who've been in crypto, who have been acquiring crypto over the last year, I believe if crypto is going exactly where I think it's going, a lot of people listening to this right now are going to be some of the richest people on this planet. Do you know, and you, if you take the entire global population, that is 7.4 billion people, the global population, in order to be part of the 1% of the globe, you just have to make the equivalent of $20,000 per year. You know why? Because billions of people live on $1 a day. You can find the documentaries. There are people around the world, guys with their wives who have 2 to 3 kids. They survive on $2 a day. That's enough for them to just make it. If you made over $20,000 last year or this year, you are part of the 1% of the entire globe. Imagine what's going to happen, hypothetically, should cryptocurrency prices go up and you make 100,000. If you make $500,000, if you end up making 1.75 million US dollars, how much richer you will be than billions of other people on this planet. Do you understand how much 200 or even $400 million is? And that's just being sent to Coinbase on a weekly basis. That's Coinbase custody. That's not Coinbase's main platform. That's not Kraken. That's not Binance. That's not Grayscale. That's not any of the major names that we've seen. That's not even the money that's being sent to be custodied or will be custodied or be used on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or TD Ameritrade or Fidelity or any other. Do you understand how much you see? It's not even sharks anymore. They're gigantic sharks with laser beams on their head. I can't put it into words. This is going to change the world unlike anything that we've ever seen in the history of humans. Side note, for those of you, like a real side note, for those of you who have Netflix or find some other way to watch things online, there's a TV show called Altered Carbon. Watch it. Altered, Altered. I think that's how you spell altered. And then carbon, Carbon. It's a TV show about a world where the rich people have become so rich because the earth has pretty much died and, is gross. Rich people have created gigantic towers and they live above the clouds. I think about that so often whenever we talk about what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. Anyway, it's a great TV show. You should definitely watch it. It definitely has hints of where the world is going. The point is, not only is Coinbase now the world's largest cryptocurrency custodian on this planet, they alone get $200 to $400 million in crypto sent to them every single week that is being locked up. How I wonder, when we get proper metrics, there's a huge amount of people out there who do like the whole crypto whale watch, and they see exactly where this money is going. The people who are trying to figure out exactly how much crypto is out there. These numbers that we get from all these, even if you just focus on Coinbase and Binance, how much money they have flowing through them, how much money they're holding, custodying, blah, 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 blah. If you add up all that money and you see exactly, there's not a lot of cryptocurrency left. I don't think I can put that into clearer words. It's time. I think it's go time. Like I said, don't be surprised if prices fall back down. I wouldn't be shocked at all if prices dipped again. If there was like a huge crash down, it's not going to last. Bitcoin skyrocketed to $20,000 on news in 2017 that we were going to have normal Bitcoin futures that were cash settled. The New York Stock Exchange is getting in there. They're in it. They're in the pool. They're gigantic and they're pushing everyone else out. And this is why I think that LedgerX, exactly why I think what happened to LedgerX. This is going to be major. I can't make it any clearer. I have a lot of friends. I advise my friends, because they're my friends, to start picking up crypto. If you're my friend, actually, no. Most of my friends, especially those who listen to my channel, they know the deal by now. I told them to get into it a long while ago. And even then I said, every time you think of buying something that you don't need, and we all know those things that we don't need, don't buy it. I said, if you can be strong enough and do that for a year, you can pretty much accomplish anything. For a year, I've told my friends, anytime you feel like you had to buy something frivolous, video game, TV, new this, you know you already have 14 pairs of shoes, you don't need another one. Just to put that into crypto and just wait and see. If nothing else, that stuff would have gone to, if nothing else, I tell my friends, the stuff that you would have purchased would have fallen apart in 5 years. The new TV you would have bought, a new TV would have come out in another 2 years that's thinner, stronger, faster, more internet-y, and you'll end up buying that one. If nothing else, this money is in cryptocurrencies. So either way, what you would have bought either would have been thrown out and you would have bought a new one. Crypto may go to zero and you've really then lost nothing because the other stuff that you also bought would have also been thrown out and destroyed. Or crypto goes up tremendously and you are one of the richest people on this planet. I like to look after my friends. If I think I have about 2 friends who are listening right now. At least 2 friends I think I know are listening. Why did my voice go so high? Hello to you. They know exactly who they are. I'm waving at you. You can't see my hands, but I will definitely be talking to you guys later. Anyway, I think all of this coincides together. All of this is one big, massive movement. I think that we've gotten to the point where we have all the regulations. We know that things are going to launch. We know that this is going to happen. We know that this is going to be upgraded. We know that the laws are there. We know that there's so and so and so. It's great. I just hope that everyone is, hope that everyone out there listening is able to benefit from the ride up. Pay attention to the coins that you are holding, the coins that you think you should be holding, and try to make sure that your money is where you'll make the most profits. I think everyone knows in their hearts what that's going to be. Just make sure that you are well prepared, because when Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin's not staying at 10,000. When Bitcoin does at least a 5x, and you're not part of the game, I've mentioned many times before, and I can only beat the horse so many times. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Miller hits chest every day and Kyle skips leg day. Minting Coins, Jeremy Fox, Jim Gardner, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Paxis, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Vlad the Impaler, Richie Rich the Third, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Damien, Nicholas Runearth, One Piece, One Love, Cryptopolis, Crypto Artist, Cole D, 3D, Strange Radio Central, Mechanic, JR, Mill Wheezy, Adobo, Bankroll Network, Crypto Joe, 242 to the World, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, Triple M and J, Woody and Daisy, Brady Niels, Master Ventures in Thailand, Mohair Moroni, and Professor Wally from Gunbot University. Thank you all very much for your support. At the moment, for those who are not looking at the screen, Bitcoin is up. currently 3.5%. Wow. It is sitting at, why was that difficult? $10,400 US. I think a lot of people may not know that Bakkt is going to be launching. I would expect, as more people figure out the news, that prices may tick up a little tiny bit, but I expect the main movements to happen as we get closer to Bakkt. 5 weeks is not that far, but it's far enough that people would still try to push the prices down. Just my personal opinion. The entire, more or less, except for Litecoin, but I assume this will also be in green in a couple of minutes. All of the top 15, 16 is in the green currently. Satoshi prices are red. I assume this is because people are pushing their money back into Bitcoin, and therefore the other coins are suffering a little tiny bit. Nothing too significant right now. No other real news from any other major coin that should be making headlines and or making waves that I see. Yeah. I hope you all enjoyed. I have to sneeze and I'm trying to hold it. Hope you all are having a great day. Oh boy. A great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening. Wherever you are, wherever you might be, I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. For those of you who opened up those tabs, have fun watching all that stuff, and especially the Andreas Antonopoulos one, the Libra not Libra. That's a very, very good one. Also watch all the self-driving stuff, the UPS self-driving trucks and stuff. It'll blow your minds, it'll terrify you, but it'll also blow your minds because you'll realize that we are actually in the future. Thank you all. That has 23,000. This is a top 28 coin. This has $23,000 worth of volume. These coins are going to be eaten alive in the next couple of months. Please pay attention to where you have your money. My goodness, that says 23,000 US dollars. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.